This like this Let Settlement reunion. They was named out of this Let Settlement up there, like the guys and the Cattlemans, Browns were up there, Pointers. These people all come out of this Let Settlement down. These are my mom's folks. We had no idea at the time we went up there that my mother's folks was up there. We was up there looking for my father's folks, and here they all was up there in the same place. And that really surprised us. And they seemed to be folks that really prospered. A lot of them got into automobile factories and prospered. They worked down there in Lansing and Detroit and where all these automobile factories at, and then after they put their time in, they moved back up to a lot of them moved back up to their home place. They'd kept lands up there and homes up there, and so they ended up moving back up there. And that'd be in the Mount Pleasant, Remus, and Mecosta area, what I'm talking about.
The families that moved up there, what were some of their names? You named a few on your mother's side, but what other family names were?
Well, the families that got in to the Myers side of it, this Johnny Myers had two daughters, one named Alice and one named Mary. Mary married Thomas. He was a cross. I always want to say Thomas, but I don't think it was Thomas, because I hear him talk about Thomas Cross, and it's not the same one. And then in the back of mine it does say she married a Thomas Cross. For talk's sake, we'll say that. And so there was several kids in that Cross family, 7 boys and 5 girls or something like that. And the girls married into Greens, Smiths, there's another couple names I can't think right now that how these names got involved in our family. And then on the other girl married, Alice married Guy. His name was Guy. And there were several names right now that won't come to mind. They've come out of that side of that family, and that's how all these people got relation to us up there. And then you find all these Letts and Cattlemans and them all up there, and then here them's all my mom's people. So when I first went to this thing, I remember saying to my older brother when we come home, the first winter there was probably 1,500 people this thing. That's how big it was. And I come away from believing we was related to 500 of them. So we'd go back 3 or 4 years in a row, and I asked my brother, well, whatever happened to these women out of this Guy side of the family? Where'd them people go at? So I searched around and asked that question up there. And all these years that we've been going up, they've been sitting right over there across from us looking at us. We never associated with them. We always associated with this one, come out of this one girl. And then you go over and here's a half a dozen other names. Well, I'll be daggone, look at this. Now we're relation to 3/4 of these people. And that was really shocking to me that we had all that many people up in that area. I never knowed that, you know. My folks were closed-mouth people. They didn't talk about things. I come up in a time when, boy, this is adults talking, you get out the door. And I remember a few of them people used to come down and visit, like my dad had a first cousin named Irie Myers. Now, he liked to clown around. He'd do flip-flops for us and see out there, and this is my dad's first cousin. He was out of Nathan Myers. It was Nathan Myers' son. Now, I think that's probably the only one out of Nate's family that ever come down here and visit us.
It's a wonderful story. As you discovered your family, did you start to hear stories of where the families lived in Ohio before they went to Michigan?
Well, we always knew where they lived at in Ohio before they went to Michigan. First they lived over in Belmont County, and then they went to Morgan County. And then they had left, most of them had left before George had come to Muskingum County. I think maybe George and Uncle Nate's the two that was in Muskingum County.
Did they live in Belmont, Morgan County, and Muskingum County?
Well, yeah, some of them.
Some of them?
All of them lived in Belmont County. all of them in Jeremiah's family, that is. And then they all moved over to Morgan County, and then the boys that left, you know, went on past Muskingum County, went clear up in Michigan, out in Oregon.
Do you know why they left Belmont area? Okay. We were talking about the families and how they came to Ohio. You were talking about Jeremiah's family came into, where did Jeremiah's family go again?
You mean when they come to Ohio?
From Belmont County.
From Belmont County, they went to Morgan County.
And did they have land there to go to, or was it homesteading, or?
No, I don't think it was homesteading. They come over and bought land. These people had a little bit, you know, had a little bit of money in them days. Jeremiah, when he went there, we've got little records about him buying and selling property. So in today's world, he'd be a realtor. So this is how they accumulate. And then they also had a farm and come up with oil on it. And so these people, you know, kind of had a little bit of money.
I noticed that the family, you talk about being in Barnesville, Belmont County, but where did they come from before that?
The family come from Prince George County, Maryland. That's where they started at. They started there, then they migrated up into Pennsylvania, and then they came down to Belmont County. They migrated across Pennsylvania, up there close to Philadelphia. I think the name was Kingston or something like that. And they come to Belmont County from there.
When you were growing up, what did your family say your ethnic background was?
We were just known as colored folks. I don't remember them expounding any further than that. We were known as colored folks, and when you're kids, you don't ask them, you don't even know what they're talking about.
You don't look like a colored person to me. Do you have a problem with that when you were growing up?
No, I didn't.
No one ever said anything to you about it?
If they did, I don't remember. I don't remember being hostile or anything like that about it. Very few fights I got in was about that.
Did your parents talk to you about your racial background?
No. I think they thought that was taboo to talk about that. I really do.
How did you find out about your heritage, your culture?
Well, through genealogical research.
Mm-hmm.
We got interested in that and where these people come from. And I can remember my dad and my mom saying these things. Certain people was our cousins, but I don't think they actually knew how they were our cousins. But one thing for sure, when they said that, you can believe it, because once we got in this research, they were right about that, but they didn't really know how a lot of them were related. And that's one thing that we found out as we've done our research on both sides of the family, the Simpsons and the Myerses.
And what did you find out about your family cultural makeup?
Well, these people come from Mainz, Germany. So when you're talking about Germany, you would think they were white. And that's what they claimed, they were white. So hence, we got white Myerses and colored Myerses. And I don't remember hearing that when I was young. I'm just after I got old enough to realize that. And that used to scratch my head and say, well, why wasn't I told about this? You know, it just kind of frustrates you sometimes. Just, who am I? You know, what am I? Now, through years of genealogical research, I find who I am. I know why I act like I act. You find that out.
Can you tell me more about that? As you did your research, you found out who you were, and you say that, and that's why you act the way you do. But I know can you just tell me, as you did your research, what were things that you discovered?
Well, I discovered that I wasn't who I thought I was. I can remember my parents saying such things as, I had one sister, and I think my mother said this, I don't think my dad said this. had told her not to bring a black man home. Well, that's what she married. Now, my mother's grandfather, his name was Daniel Simpson. He had 6 daughters. And that's what he told his 6 daughters, and that's what they done. Married black men. And now, on my sister's side of it, I couldn't find a better brother-in-law than what I got. He was from North Carolina, and he was an awful good man to us when we was young kids, and he was good to my mother and father. And so you think, when you come through this, I had things told me about white people and about black people. And now here I am, part of both of them. So I remember leaning sometimes to the white side and sometimes to the black side. And I remember being chastised about that from the black people, not so much from the white people, but from the black people. And really in those days, I had more trouble out of black people than I did out of white people. I didn't know who I was. Yeah.
Your mother's side of the family, the Simpsons, where did they originate from?
The story in the family says they originated from Ireland.
And was there a large Simpson population in Zanesville when you were growing up?
Yeah, there was quite a few of them. Several of my mom's dad was Les Simpson. He had a brother named Les Simpson. We don't know that much about Les. He left and went to Chicago. So we kind of lose the Simpson name in them girls. One of them married a Coleman, and one married a Smith. And my mom used to stay over, when she was a young girl, used to stay over in Dayton with one of her aunts. Her name was Dory, and I don't recall who she married. I don't know that I ever heard that. But the other 3 girls, I didn't think they never ever got married. So.
The churches here in Zanesville, were they segregated by color? Any of them that you know of?
When you say segregated by color, the churches here in Zanesville segregated by color. And when I was young, I went to about 3 different churches. Don't remember white people being there, but I remember in Ohio they call us colored folks. Okay? I remember colored folks being in there, I remember black folks being in there. But I don't remember white folks being in any of the churches I went to. So that would have been a Methodist church. That was Park Street Methodist Church and State Street Methodist Church and the AME Church. We went to there some.
And did your whole family go to church?
When we were young, we did, yeah.
Sometimes churches would have, in the olden days, a rule of thumb, the brown bag. Have you heard of the brown bag theory?
I don't know that I heard that.
Okay. Because you talk about, the story you told about your family not marrying anybody black. Sometimes the churches said if you're darker than the brown bag, you can't come in. So I didn't know that happened in Zanesville or not.
Well, no, it might have happened, but I don't remember being like that, like brown bag.
Mm-hmm.